order. It is our custom that we begin our meeting by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. If I could ask you guys to stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are we good with our notification? Our audio, video, are you guys ready? Thank you. Thank you. That's just one of our high-tech system we have here. Adoption of our agenda. Have everyone had the opportunity to look over the agenda?
I move we adopt it.
Second.
Probably made in second. All in favor of adopting the agenda? Approval of our February 23rd meeting, minutes. Have everyone had the opportunity to review those? Mm-hmm. Any questions, at least deletions, additions?
No.
All right. Go ahead and I think we have.
I move we adopt the minutes as submitted.
Okay.
Second.
So our February 23rd meeting have been properly made in second. All in favor of adopting the 23rd February meeting minutes? Those minutes are adopted. Now we're going to move right into our action item, which is a continuation from the last month meeting. If you're ready.
I am. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm Bridget Hart, the owner of 31 Holland Court. I was here last month, and I was a little perplexed when I left. As you will recall, I had an application in for a short-term rental application, and everything seemed to be going fine until Mr. Rogerson came up to argue against the application being approved and started waving around this document. And I didn't know what the document was, and I wasn't able to see it. So I was given some advice from the zoning commission to get a lawyer or get a title abstract, and I couldn't understand why I would need to do that because I knew that my lot is not covered by the covenants and restrictions that it turns out he was waving around. So I do have a copy of the covenants and restrictions that cover the 10 acres subdivision. There are 9 lots on Holland Court. Lots 1 through 8 are covered by the 10 acres subdivision, covenants and restrictions. Lot 9, which is the one that Bobby Holland lived in and lived on, is the property I bought. The 10 acres subdivision covenants and restrictions do not cover lot 9. So whoever owns lots 1 through 8, whether it's 8 people or 1 person, or as turns out, 1 couple that owns, I think, 7 of those lots now. Their covenants and restrictions don't cover me. So for him to say that they don't want me to be able to have a short-term rental because it isn't able to be done according to non-commercial use in the covenants and restrictions, doesn't matter because I'm not covered in his covenants and restrictions. I don't know what else to say. I can say the covenants and restrictions, which I had before I bought the house, and I could clearly see, and I think it's referenced in something that maybe Ms. Austin gave you. The lots 1 through 8 clearly are covered. Lot 9 is not mentioned in there for a reason. You know, I didn't know Bobby Holland, but from the dozens of people I met since I bought the house, he was no fool. He was not going to have himself covered in covenants and restrictions when someone else might have owned the rest of the properties. So I think that's pretty clear that, you know, I fall into all of the approved categories. And I would request that you approve the application now.
So that lot 9, is there any covenant and restriction on that lot at all?
No.
Okay.
Just whatever the standard Beaufort County items would be.
But
Yes, there are
nothing that
none.
Bobby.
Correct.
Okay. All right, any questions for the applicant?
Just to refresh my memory, but there's a private shared road, correctly? That's how you.
Yeah, we have an easement because we are at, yeah.
No, it was started as a right-of-way to be owned by everyone in the subdivision. So the way it's been sold as an easement, that's not what the covenants say, and that's not what the plat says. It's a right of way to be owned by everyone in the subdivision.
And there's shared maintenance between lots
Yes.
1 through 8 and
Well,
not,
yeah,
Right.
that's what
and
the-
not 9. That was, I guess, the rub, one of the rubs for,
Yes.
Well, I can appreciate that. They have done nothing with the road. I mean, it does need to be gravelled, but, you know, they've been building, they just moved into their house a couple weeks ago, or they're still moving in. But there are items that in their covenants and restrictions, they are not supposed to be able to do, all of which they're doing. And there's nothing I can do about it as a owner of Lot 9. I can't say, you know what, your 10 acres subdivision covenants and restrictions say no poultry. You have a chicken coop. It says no campers. You have a camper. No RVs. Your grandfather is living in an RV on the property. You know, all these things that you're not supposed to do, you're doing, and I can't say anything about that because I'm not part of your covenants and restrictions.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions for them? Thank you, ma'am. We're gonna hear from the county.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I changed my recommendation after she corrected me. I looked at the definitions,
Mhm.
and for the lots, it said lots 1 through 8. And I pulled the plat, and lot 9 is not listed in here, so I recommended approval.
Thank you. Is there any, you can have a seat. Is there any public comment for this item? No public comment. We close the public comment. I guess based on the information that we have before us and what we've heard, would anyone like to put a motion on the floor too?
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve the special use permit for short-term rental.
I'll second it.
So it's been properly made and second to approve the special use permit. All in favor? So, ma'am, your special use has been approved.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. You have a good one. Item number 8, Stephanie Fuller.
I'm Christopher Cook, and I'm representing Evan Carroll, who wants to buy this lot from Stephanie Fuller.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Okay. Hillary did her wonderful research on this and has analyzed all of the elements necessary. And in the submission I made, in addition to copies of the survey, there were aerial photographs taken with a drone that show you exactly what's what and who's who, and pretty much everything you need to know, I think. So the two big issues were, we have to honor the rear setbacks and the side setbacks set forth by the covenants at Harbor Island. And we have 20 feet on the rear, which is what they want. We have 10 feet on the right side, which is what they want. You can see that the adjacent house is in about the same space, or front to back anyway, on the lot. And what we're asking for is 10-foot setbacks from the left side, from the critical line to the building, and on what would be the front of the building, 10 feet from the critical line, front of the building. We also asked for a concrete driveway, but it's going to be way too close to portions of the critical line setback. So what we're thinking of doing is, during the course of construction, probably best to just leave it as a dirt road and then do some sort of a pervious surface when we're cleaning everything up.
Okay. So you
I think
said,
I think they call, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I think they call this shoehorn design, because that was about the only spot on the lot that was buildable.
Right, Chris, did you look at, what is this size in relationship to the adjacent houses? Wouldn't it be, automatically granted by staff?
It's too close.
It's too close, okay.
The driveway, you can't go less than 20 feet.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's why it's here.
there any more questions for,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this end of the island actually gaining sand and getting larger? I thought we had,
Well, this
we
is
moved
a-
the house down here.
This is the very last lot that was platted on North Harbor Drive. I'm not sure what your question is, but
Well, I just thought it was, where everything else is eroding, this end is not eroding.
not that we're aware of, no.
Okay.
Obviously, a very unusual lot.
okay. Is there any questions for the applicant?
I don't know.
So 10 feet is what you're requesting from the,
Yes. 10 feet on the left side from the critical line to the footprint of the building.
correct?
10 feet on what I think would be considered the front of the building. And as you can see, the critical line jogs, so 10 feet is the closest point on that, on the left side. And the same is true of the way it jogs on what would be the front of the house.
Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, we're gonna hear from the county. You can have a seat.
Okay?
If there's any more questions, we'll call you back up.
I would have loved to say no, but it's a lot of record. And, it was platted back in 93. Looked like it had more high ground when it was platted, but the marsh has come in and, so, I recommended approval for the house, 10 feet, but the driveway needs to remain dirt. There should be no gravel, no crusher run, nothing, because it's just gonna wash off into the marsh. So, needs to just be dirt, and, all the water traps shall, and I did find a deed restriction on this lot for sewer. I'm not sure how we're gonna, but you can do no more than 300 gallons per day. So, how, is this,
On sewage,
yes.
well, they're gonna hook into the harbor.
Yeah, but there's a deed restriction that says you're only limited to a certain amount of gallons per day. I don't know how you count that, but,
Flush about 10 times.
yeah. So, but anyway, I just brought that up so that you guys are aware, and it's gonna be on the permit, and I had to recommend approval. With only dirt driveway.
If push came to shove, we could put in a holding tank for the sewage system so that we only discharge.
Yeah, but where's that gonna go? That needs to be 100 feet from the critical line.
Well, then I guess.
So that, I don't think that's a good idea. Yeah, I guess you can't build a house that's gonna use more than 300 gallons per day. I think that's what this is saying.
I guess that would all be based on occupancy.
Well,
Probably
like I
based on
said,
the
I don't
number of
know.
bathrooms.
Huh?
Probably based on the number of bedrooms.
Yeah, so, how many bedrooms?
3.
How many people?
Yeah.
It'd be 3 bedrooms with 10 people.
It could be the 7th fleet, who knows?
I don't know how they would measure that.
No,
Maybe
and
keep a track of that.
I think back then in 93, they, maybe Harbor Island had a problem with their sewage thing, and they put the restriction on these lots.
I can pursue that with Don Wolke, who is the head guy.
Okay, all right.
And we can specify water-saving devices and all the things and see where we can.
Okay. That's my recommendation.
All right, thank you.
Chris, a question, are the owners aware that they are in the, that the critical line is here, they can't go back and do landscape and all in this area once they move
Well, you're
in?
talking about the plant back plan?
Or that the area in the critical line, that they can't make that lawn and, make it, that's
Well,
a
I'm
buffer
not-
that-
Be a condition on, you can make that
Okay.
recommendation, but that would be a condition on our zoning permit.
Yeah, I think is it the,
No lawn, no sodding, it has
Right.
to be grasses and.
yeah, native grasses, and I don't think there would be a plant back plan because we wouldn't be disturbing anything, but we can do that if,
Well, you're gonna have to create at least a 10-foot buffer
yeah, okay.
from the critical line, the edge
We
of
can
the
do that.
critical line.
And if you write that into the decision, that's fine. One other question. Could we put rough gravel down for construction purposes, so we're not just driving trucks in the mud? And then clean that up and do a pervious paver type driveway?
Like, you mean like a construction entrance gravel?
Well, I'm just thinking during construction, if we could put some gravel down, that's gonna help.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you would,
The county's recommending a dirt driveway, no pavers at all.
Well, pavers are considered pervious, are they not? I mean, the last time I went around with this,
Yes.
they are.
Yeah, they are.
Well, some are,
But,
some
Some
aren't.
of them are.
Well, let's
But
say
in
that,
this case, we just don't want any, you're up on the critical line.
Yeah, okay.
This stuff is.
okay, I'm just saying during construction, we're gonna have trucks in and out. Should we be doing something on that driving surface to make sure that it is maintained to the extent possible?
well, that should be a stormwater permit anyhow. I mean, you
Yes,
need
get one of those.
silk fence and a construction entrance. So, to my knowledge, you would need to have a construction entrance base
Yeah.
coming off of the street.
Okay, well, you can see that on the site plan. I'm showing you where the construction entrance is.
Mhm.
It's down near the bottom
Yeah, we see it.
of the lot. So we do that at that entrance and then leave a dirt up to the house. And when we're done, we'll clean it up and if there are pervious pavers, then a driveway with pervious pavers would be what we would want. No?
I don't want anything that eventually is gonna turn into a hard ground.
Okay. Well, the dirt might.
Well, I mean, it's dirt. That's what's out there now.
Well, we'll just leave it. I'm just thinking about, because
Or
it's,
just that you put up a silk fence and keep it up.
So Hillary, I guess you don't want gravel, you don't want pavers either, huh?
Well, stormwater has stated that gravel is impervious, and, I mean, I can't see how pavers aren't.
Okay. All right.
But I let them look at this,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let them be the judge, and Chris, you have to show me where the fence and all that stuff is gonna go.
we do
There's
that.
not gonna be much room
And-
for construction.
The other thing we could do would be indigenous grasses along the edges of that dirt driveway.
We'd like to see
So we could do that
landscape
with
plan. This is
landscaping.
gonna be-
We'll come up with something that's acceptable, because we want to save the place just like everybody else does.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite sure the county will, you'll get with the county and come up with a landscape plan.
Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
that.
All right. Any more questions? Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Is there any public comment for this item?
There were two, oh, no, sorry, wrong one, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's 12. Well, we close public comment. We can move forward on this, everyone. We've heard from the applicant and from the county.
I'll make a motion that we approve the variance with the stipulation that there's no sod, that all the plantings are native materials, and that the driveway is dirt.
So there's a motion on the table to approve it with the conditions.
Stormwater.
I would second the motion.
So it's a motion on the floor to approve with condition and second. All in favor of approving? So this has been approved. Thank you, sir.
You get a letter and you gotta bring me all this stuff and it's only bring it and all that other stuff.
All right, item number 10, Restoration Ventura. Ventures,
Hello.
how are you?
Good. My name is Eric Swanson. I represent my wife, Kelly Swanson, and myself. We're the owners of 83 Ocean Creek, Fripp Island. And the property was built in 2001. We've owned it since August of 2021. The 60-foot and 50-foot river buffer, I don't know if those lines were put in after building or if there was a variance, but they go through the back of the house. The 50-foot goes through the back of the house. And extending past that are stairs that go further back towards the critical line. Wanted to do some improvements in that area to use the back portion of the house and have gone through multiple iterations to try to decrease the footprint as much as possible to do anything back there. So my current application has us moving those existing stairs to the side of the house so that we don't increase the footprint at all. And that's where the pool that we would install would go. So to be very clear, the pool that we're talking about in the application is designed to stay in the footprint of the existing stairs and not go past that. That's pretty much the main application. The back of the pool, from what I have on my survey, and extends about 35.5 feet. It's to the critical line. But that's where the existing stairs are right now. So we would move the stairs over so the footprint stays the same. There's more that I can fill in as far as the neighborhood or other factors, but that's the main points of my application.
Is there any questions for the applicant?
No, but I would just argue that the footprint doesn't stay the same because the existing the stairs are probably 6 feet wide and the pool is the width of the house, so the footprint has a major change to it.
Maybe they're wrong.
Is there, I think I saw 183 or something. How many other pools in that area? Are there any other pools within that area that's,
There's two that are south of me, not right next door, but the next one over, and then the next one over. They both have pools. So to the south of me, to the north of me, there's a pool at 375 Tarpon. It's on the other side of the creek, but that one comes extremely close to
so that's on the other side of the,
it is.
so that's not next to you, really?
No, it's not.
And the other two that you're referring to, is that, how far is that from you, from your property? 2, 3 houses down, 10 houses down?
First one is 2 houses down, the second one is 3 houses down.
And how close are they to the river buffer?
I wish I knew that. I can only look at Google Earth. I wasn't able to get the actual line and measure that out. To me, it looks very similar, particularly the one that's further down. Looks at a very similar location as to where I'm putting my, plan to put my pool.
Mr. Chairman, I looked at Google Earth, and the pool 2 houses down doesn't really come out past the end of the house. It's kind of on the side and comes to the end of the house, so it's basically in the same footprint that the house is in.
Did you look at, sorry,
Sir?
did you look at the next one
Yes,
down?
yes.
The next one is more similar to what I would be planning.
But I also thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, that your house was closer to the critical line than those other 2 houses.
Well, if you look at the critical line, the critical line jogs.
Right.
It jogs east, so it's jogging towards their house as it's going towards their house. So I haven't measured it, but it looks like it's gonna come up pretty much exactly the same, because it comes off about the same from their house, and their houses go back a little bit along with the creek, but that critical line goes back. So they're following the same line.
Does your house sit further back than those 2 houses?
No,
It doesn't?
no,
Okay,
but the critical line is further
Okay.
west from my house.
I got you.
Is there any more questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir. We're gonna hear from the county now.
I can't speak for the other pools or wherever they are, but I went back and I looked at the supplemental plat that created these parcels, and they were platted at 50 feet. And I went back and I looked at the zoning permit that was issued for the house. It was supposed to be 50 feet from the critical line. The as-built that was done at building codes, I printed that. It's supposed to be 50 feet from the critical line. I don't know what happened, why this house is now sitting inside that 50 feet. But adding this pool to 20 feet, staff cannot recommend approval. The lots were platted with a 50-foot river buffer, and it should remain a 50-foot river buffer. Staff recommends this approval. There's no hardship.
So you're saying all of the other houses they're not within the 50 feet?
I didn't check the other houses.
Oh.
They're all supposed to be
Okay.
outside that 50-foot buffer, because all the lots were platted at the same time, showing the 50-foot buffer.
So the critical line could have encroached by,
Yeah, so
30.
these are deep, his lot is a deep lot, and then the other ones are really smaller, but they also have the 50-foot river, 50-foot buffer on it. So, because they were platted after council passed the law, so they had to meet the 50-foot.
okay.
I just can't recommend approval. I don't see a hardship. Getting a pool is not a hardship. This is something the applicant wants. And, I don't see a hardship.
Any questions for the county? Thank you, Ms. Austin. Is there any public comment for this item? No public comment, so we close public comment.
Email.
Yeah, we had
We do have a few emails that came in, and
one.
just make note that we have those, we have received them, and they will go in the record. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from the county and from the applicant. I guess what would be the pleasure? I'm not sure we need to have a dialogue.
I move we deny the variance.
You want to support that?
Because there's not a hardship, it is a swimming pool, so there is not like the previous one where the lot was unbuildable. This is a desire of the applicant, and historically, we have not approved swimming pools in the setback.
Okay, so it's been a motion on the floor to deny the
Second.
swimming pool, and it's been properly made and second. All in favor of denial of the swimming pool, signify by raising your hand. So that has been denied, sir.
Can I just ask a follow-up question? I'm accepting this. I'm accepting. Can I just ask a follow-up?
If you want to come to the board, to the podium.
If I want to do anything in that area, so my neighbors, just to the north, they have boardwalks that go from those steps to the dock. They have
There's-
landing zones.
If you talk to the county, there are certain things that are allowed in the setback.
Yeah.
Can I do boardwalk and just some decking around the stairs?
I have to see what you're proposing.
All
Just a
per-
boardwalk going down to the marsh, 4 feet wide, that would be approvable.
So my neighbor, okay, that's fine. Well, that's
We'll
fine.
just get codes enforcement out there, if they did something wrong, we'll go after
No,
them.
I'm not trying to say I can do exactly what my neighbor is. I'm just telling you what they have. Just, they have like a landing, like you come down the stairs, they have like a landing deck, and then out to the boardwalk.
I have to see their plan, see where their 50-foot, where the buffer is, their line is, and see if they're even violating it.
Okay, I'm not asking about their violation. I'm just asking, is that something that would be reasonable for me?
Not in the, you can't have the landing, you can have a boardwalk going down to the marsh if that's what you want.
And no decking on the side of
No
the
decking
stairs?
on the sides, it's 4 feet wide, and boardwalk, it has to be slatted.
And if you want to schedule an appointment with Ms. Hillary, she can, help you out with that. Thank you, sir. Okay, we move to item number 12, Patrick Smith and Nicole Gilmore.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Gilmore. We are applying for a short-term rental permit at 2944 Street in Beaufort, and I believe I had submitted site plans and all the required documentation to Ms. Hillary.
And this is in the county, correct? This is in the county, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, And you have met all of the other requirements for the special use fire and,
Yes,
And you
Alright.
have the required parking?
yes.
so one.
What's that?
Replace
Three spaces.
We have the
3 spaces.
underneath, and then there's room for 2 cars back in the driveway.
In the driveway?
Yes, ma'am.
Who would be controlling this? If there's a problem, who's the point of contact? You?
Myself or Patrick Smith. Yeah, we
And you're-
also have somebody that's in the area. We live partially here and partially in Charleston. So
Okay.
we have somebody that's in the area that could be available at any minute's notice
Okay.
if something came up right away. Us to keep our contact information.
Okay. Is there any more questions? Thank you. Hillary, do you want to get up to say anything, or, we received your approval?
I couldn't find any covenants and restrictions unless somebody set me straight.
I don't see anything in here, so obviously you're not in one of those areas that have covenants and restrictions, huh?
No, there's no HOA at all that I'm aware of in Polk Village.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. We're gonna call you back up in a minute.
Okay.
Public comment for this item. Did you? Yes, you did. Mr. Jack?
Jack Noe, I live in the neighborhood. I'm just looking at the tax information online, if you ever found it. And it says something about Media Link LLC. Did you buy it from Media Link LLC?
I believe that's the company that did the renovation on the home that we purchased them from.
Okay. I was just confused about that. So you actually own it now, you purchased it from Media
Purchased
Link?
it from them, yes, they once owned it, they did the renovation, we purchased it post renovation.
On 12/8/22?
Yes, sir.
You bought it? That's just trying to clarify who owns the thing. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any more public comment for this item? If not, we're gonna close public comment. Ladies and gentlemen, I guess we've heard from the county, from the applicant.
There was a letter also about,
Oh, Smithfield, yeah, oh, yeah. Well, we'll have that inside of our, put it in the records. What would be the pleasure of this board?
I'll move that we go ahead and approve the special use permit for a short-term rental.
So it's been properly made and second. All in favor of approving it for special use? So it's been approved. Thank you, ma'am. Is there any old business? New business? Adjournment?
I think that's the fastest meeting ever.
Yes. No need to keep us.
Can you second it?
Adjourn.